I can do anything. I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Carlton 24/7 team selection for round 4. Assistant coach John Barker here with me, heading across the Tasman this week. John, first ever time that Carlton's played for premiership points out of Australia. The boys excited?
Yeah, absolutely, especially given the grandness, I guess, of the occasion. Really looking forward to it.
And obviously not the start that we would have wanted, 0-3 coming up against St Kilda. It really is a neutral venue despite it being the Saints' home game.
Yeah, well, they haven't won there yet, and we feel it's a neutral ground, even though they have played there, once a year over the last 2 or 3 years. We're pretty keen to get over there and put on a good show.
Before we get into the team, the mood around the group, obviously a lot has been said externally. How much do you take that in here at the club, and how are the players coping at the moment? Obviously we would have liked a better start to the season, but how are they coming together?
Yeah, you're right. Obviously would have liked a much better start to the season, but we feel like there was a standard of effort last week that we need to make as standard and be our baseline, and from that we can grow some better performances, we feel, going forward.
I think it's definite to say that it was a much better performance last week against the Bombers. Great final quarter as well, just couldn't get enough goals on the board. Let's have a look at the team for round 4 against St Kilda at Wellington's Westpac Stadium, also affectionately known as the Cake Tin. Sam Rowe in the back pocket alongside Zach Toohey and Michael Jamieson as well. When you look at the forwards for St Kilda, Josh Bruce and Nick Riewoldt are going to be the 2 targets.
Well, they're 2 very good footballers. Obviously, Josh Bruce has been a real standout in the first few games and has been one of their more go-to targets inside 50. He's caught the ball quite a bit, so our tools are going to have to be really strong in the contest on the weekend.
Jamo still holding down that role at full-back as the lieutenant, really directing that back line.
Yeah, look, he's had a little bit of a down week against West Coast, came back and played some really good footy last week, was really solid in defence, and we're hoping that he and Sammy Rowe can get the job done this week.
Let's have a look at the half-back, starting with Cade Simpson, Sam Doherty at centre half-back. 16 possessions last week for Sam Doherty. John, would you like to see his rate of efficiency increase this week against the Saints?
Yeah, look, he missed a couple of targets last week. He's normally very good for us with ball in hand, and he provides a fair bit of intercept from an opposition point of view, which we really, really like, and he plays a smart brand of halfback football. So, yeah, look, we'd like him to hit a few more targets, and he's a smart player, I'm sure he will.
And Andrew Walker, we satisfied with his return? First game since round 17 last week, had plenty of it despite a couple of turnovers.
Look, I think he was enormous considering the lack of pre-season he's had, and he hasn't really had much in terms of conditioning leading into that game. A little bit scratchy at times, but I tell you what, his energy and his drive and his run from half-back, and also when he went forward, the excitement he can bring was really good.
And I think you can tell a lot about his leadership out there as well. Let's have a look at the midfield for the clash against the Saints. This time starting with Dennis Armfield, played his first game of the season last week. Andreas Everett and Andrew Corazzo as well. Everett, a couple of goals last week. He's had a fantastic start to the season. Works
really hard. Works both forward on offensive transition and back on defensive transition, and been a really important player for us, and celebrates a milestone this week too, so congratulations to Andre.
Yeah, great pickup for the Blues since coming across from the Bulldogs and Sydney. The other midfielders, Bryce Gibbs, 18 possessions last week, a goal to his name as well, of course. Patrick Cripps and Cam Wood still holding down that number 1 ruck mantle and doing an effective job.
Yeah, look, he's toiling away. He's very good in the contest, and you know, he doesn't always give our boys first use, but we know we're going to get a strong contest out of him, and Bryce would be the first to admit that he probably didn't quite play as well as he can last week, and he's pretty keen to get back into some good form.
Was there more fight just on last week's game, more fight and more hunger for a longer period of time compared to the previous 2 rounds, do you think?
Well, obviously, from an outside point of view, you would think that, and from an internal point of view, it was exactly the same. We felt that we really fought the game out. Obviously, Essendon started to fade away towards the end, but from a team's perspective, we kept battling it out and we just didn't quite nail enough of those goals late.
Let's have a look across the half-forward line now, and Tom Bell, who's been a real consistent hard worker to start 2015, David Allard as well, and Levi Casbolt. He just seems to be one of those players that if he can get a couple of goals on the board in the first half, he can thrive with that confidence. Very quiet last week.
Yeah, look, we think he thrives on the contest, and we just know that when our tools give us good contest, not only does it get guys like Levi and Liam Jones into the game, but also adds a bit of predictability for our smalls. So if we give good, strong contests as tall forwards, which is basically their main role, our smalls will be able to feed off that.
And as we have a look at the full forward line now, a couple of those talls there, but starting with the captain, Mark Murphy, outstanding leadership last week, 30 possessions against the Bombers. Lockie Henderson, a couple of goals, and Liam Jones, probably similar to Levi, as he settles into a new club since coming across from the Western Bulldogs. Again, probably a confidence player.
Yeah, look, we think he's just getting better marginally week by week, and we're just hopeful that he can continue that improvement and start to give us some really strong contests week in, week out.
And the interchange as it stands. So, John, there we have it, the starting 18 for Saturday morning's game, an 11:10 start. If there was one thing you could pick that you'd just like to see from the group this week, what would it be?
Well, we know football's an effort-based business, so for full 4 quarters, we'd like to see that effort.
Can't wait to take it across the Tasman. Let's hope the Blues' first win for the season comes over in New Zealand.